Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another short clip for the Trailblazers podcast on the Amazon leadership principles. The one that we're going to talk about in this video is the principle of acting rapidly. So at Amazon, executives and managers, they do have a bias for action, and they place importance on this because speed in itself when making decisions can be a good quality, especially in a marketplace that is evolving rapidly. It's one of those things, if you hesitate a lot, then you'll miss your opportunity in order to make good decisions and have effective work done and everything that goes along with that. So they place an emphasis on this, and it's good because your company will never move anywhere or do anything if the managers and people in leadership positions sit on their hands all day and hesitate to make decisions. So why would people do this? Well, there's a fear of making the wrong decision, right? And what if you make the wrong decision? People won't they won't respect you. They'll think you're a bad leader, bad manager. You might get fired. You might not get a promotion. But Amazon has been successful in creating this culture where acting rapidly is actually valued, even if you make a wrong decision. We're looking for that 80-20 principle, right? Let's value speed and get 80% of the decisions right, and we're okay taking a loss on 20% of them, and that's giving them a competitive edge for sure. And I can say from my own personal experience that the acting rapidly ties in very well with the quality of being decisive. So if you're a leader, especially a young leader, people will always respect somebody more that is willing to be decisive and make a decision rather than hesitate, right? Because it takes a lot of qualities. It takes more courage, more risk taking. People don't want to sit in limbo forever, right? So, and especially if you're if you're a young leader, then it earns you more respect in that team, and you have to draw on the expertise of others a lot more. And it becomes a good way to earn trust with your team as well, which is another principle that we'll talk about in another video. So if you're at the individual level as well as at the leadership level, this is something that you can ingrain in your habits every day. Is if you find yourself hesitating, just make a decision. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Take all the information you have at that point in time and then just make the best decision you have with the best information you have, and go from there. And you're going to take some losses, but that's fine. That's fine. You're going to make some wrong decisions, but it's something that will pay dividends over and over again in your career. Dave, what do you have? What are your thoughts on this principle?
If you can kind of get into this habit of, applying like the 80-20 principle rule, even if you feel like kind of hesitant to make your decisions, you can always make them. And then I think probably the biggest thing afterwards is, like Tyler has already mentioned so far, is just taking ownership. So and it's another principle we talked about, is basically like the ownership that, you made a wrong decision, because I think like it shows authenticity and it shows trustworthiness too, which, we'll talk about a little bit more in the future. But in this type of concept is that I think people, if they see that you have this bias for action or bias towards doing things quickly, and, a lot of times too, like Amazon people say as well, and like I think we'll talk about this principle later too, is basically you just kind of have like this bias for action plus a little bit of a hunch. And most of the time, your hunches tend to be quite right. Like, especially if you're somebody who's like pretty quick on your feet and you're talking with lots of people and you have a pretty good lay of the land with maybe your job responsibilities or the tasks that you're doing, is you'll tend in the long run to make the most decisions that are good. You're probably going to make a bad decision every once in a while. I definitely do. Tyler does too in his job, I'm sure. But I think at the end of the day is you just own up to it, right? Like previously in a team that I was in beforehand, is I was managing about 4 other software engineers and machine learning engineers as like a young professional myself. And I was in the position of responsibility is making decisions for the team. So an example of, say, a case that we can do for that is, if we're not 100% sure on the decision that we want to make, talk to the teammates around you, get their inputs, and then try to make the collective decision as a team. And I think like the earlier that we can get started doing this in our careers, it will teach us to be confident with our decision-making abilities, even though we're not going to be right 100% of the time. And then the times that we are not correct is definitely own up to it. And then also use that as a learning opportunity for ourselves, is that, okay, what could I have done to make a better decision in the future? And then we'll slowly get to a position where we just are making decisions confidently, very frequently, and looking out for the best outcomes for the business anytime we're making a decision. So Tyler, any final thoughts on this leadership principle?
Yeah, 100%. That was good tips there, Dave. And I think one thing I would add is that, if you feel like you're not the type of person that is doing this already, this is something that doesn't have to be unique to the workplace, right? Like you can implement this into your day-to-day life just to get started. All those things that, are on your to-do list that you've been sitting on forever and haven't made a decision on, just start making decisions on them, right? Those plans that you have with somebody that are kind of in the gray zone, just say you're going to do them or not going to do them. It's one of those things. It's one of the few principles here that is reinforced with muscle memory. So if you just try to make a rapid decision or be decisive every single day, this is going to trickle into your job and the workplace. And after a while, you won't even have to think about it. You'll just be making decisions. And like we said, that'll pay off for you in the long run. So thank you guys for watching another video on the Amazon leadership principles. This one, act rapidly. We're going to do some more on the other principles. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, and leave us a comment on what you think. And we will catch you next time.
Thanks, guys. See you.